It's The Perfect Union, the perfect podcast for the perfect country. Brought to you by your perfect host, Hank Thompson, for you, the perfect listener. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. Perfect Union is the politics wing of Winners and Losers Enterprises and Apocalypse Training Centers. Apocalypse Training. Make sure to sign up for the upcoming class, How to Make a Slingshot from the Bones of Your Loved Ones. So, just real quick, I'm doing my best to get these out. It's been a little bit of a struggle just in terms of time and energy and exporting power. So anybody who was looking for this on YouTube, I'm still working on the last one. It's been about 9 days since I recorded it, and I've been trying to. It took me forever to edit it. The YouTube version has videos. There's the debate breakdown one, the previous one, Perfect Union number 2. And lots of videos, added a bunch of headlines and elements. I actually put a bunch of time into editing it. That was a 6 to 8 hour process. And then my computer just wouldn't export it. It just took like multiple overnight attempts where it would take 8 hours, 10 hours. It'd stall out 12 hours. So I'm messing with the files. I'm changing things around and doing my professional video editor tricks that I, some confidence in. But it's still hitting all kinds of walls, getting this damn thing exported. Even one night, my computer just wouldn't reboot. So I need a new machine. I mean, I got it working again, but I don't have great equipment, and nor do I have time. So please be patient, and thank you so much. And I'm going to work on streamlining this whole process. All right, that's just this because I feel bad. I want to try to do this consistently, and I'm not. Anyway, one thing I'm going to do is keep these shorter. The last one was an hour and 40 minutes, which is more than my machine can apparently handle. So this one won't be as long. The longer ones take up a lot more resources and time. Blah blah blah. And besides, I got to get to work pretty soon here. So having a full-time job is not helpful for people that don't want full-time jobs. Not that I'm not grateful. I work very hard to keep working hard, and then eventually you die. So that's the capitalist dungeon we're all trapped in, isn't it? So just some quick audio from news in the last couple days regarding Zuckerberg. He went to testify before the House Financial Services Committee. First of all, they wanted to know why he has that haircut, and the reason is because everybody around him is fucking terrified. Because if they judge him or say something to him like a real friend would, he would immediately absorb their soul through his dead eyes and fill up the river of the ocean of pink ooze that is inside that man's chest. Yes, that's a Ghostbusters 2 reference, and it won't be the last one. So AOC got a hold of him. I like her. I'm a big fan. I think she's got a long career ahead of her. I've talked about that before. Her endorsement of Bernie. I was going to do a whole episode just playing clips from that speech. It was really great time there in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever the fuck that was, and what a nice thing. She came, I think people were wondering and hoping she would endorse him. I assumed she would, but there was a little concern that maybe she wouldn't, and that would devastate and deflate some of the air and the wind in her sails. And she's obviously very smart. I believe she's endorsing him because it's her principles and because it's a politically intelligent thing to do for her future, as well as Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. But, the sweet part of that story is that she did it. She reached out to the Bernie campaign and to Bernie when he was in the hospital after a heart attack. Said, hey, man, I got your back. I'm here for you. You're at a low point. Let's pick you up. Put you back on your old feet. Send you on your way, you stamina-having motherfucker. So it's great. I'm really optimistic and proud to see that. So let's keep that movement rolling. That's not what I'm doing to talk about here anyway. So she does wonderful in these congressional testimony situations. It's absurd that they do these 5. It's just like the debates. It's like, what? This is not how we should do this, where each member gets 5 minutes to ask some questions, so the witnesses can just prevaricate. Not exactly right. We're not prevaricate. They can delay. They can use all these sort of stalling tactics to gather their thoughts, to prevent them from speaking, to just filibuster and bluster their way through. So it becomes this performative, especially in the era of digital media and viral. Sorry, there I had to pause for. I think I've had too much coffee. So it just. I hate that this is the way this works. I guess everybody deserves their fair turn, but 5 minutes? There's these massive issues, these extremely powerful people on both sides, both the Senate or the politicians and the people they're questioning usually. It's stupid. It's dumb. But anyway, so we got some audio from it. Let's just start off at the beginning here. This is AOC. She handles these extremely well, and she gets a hold of these people and treats them like a chew toy. She's very adept at this. It's great to see, and it was no different with Mark Zuckerberg. Here, let's just hit play.
Cortez is recognized for 5 minutes.
It's good to see you, Mr. Zuckerberg. I think you, of all people, can appreciate using a person's past behavior in order to determine, predict, or make decisions about future behavior.
Like when an arsonist sets a fire in the past, the chance that they'll do it again goes up, especially if they're good at it.
And in order for us to make decisions about Libra, I think we need to kind of dig into your past behavior and Facebook's past behavior with respect to our democracy. Mr. Zuckerberg, what year and month did you personally first become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I'm not.
Cambridge Analytica is this data mining, data analytics company that Trump employed to manipulate Facebook viewers and turn all of our grandparents into Nazis.
I'm not sure of the exact time, but it was probably around the time when it became public. I think it was around March of 2018. I could be wrong, though.
Mm-hmm. When did Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I don't know off the top of my head.
You don't know.
She knows the answers. She's establishing timelines here. The real juicy bits are a little bit later on. This whole clip's about 6 minutes. We're about a minute in already. So, it's just funny. I just like that way that she's just, you don't know, and then she's just moving right along. She's developing some confidence at this, too. She started out of the gate pretty good at it, but it's good to see that experience is starting to cure in her and how she operates.
Did anyone on your leadership team know about Cambridge Analytica prior to the initial report by The Guardian on December 11th, 2015?
Congresswoman, I believe so, and that some folks were tracking it internally.
And
I'm actually, as you're asking this, I do think I was aware of Cambridge Analytica as an entity earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I was tracking how they were using Facebook specifically.
When was...
Also, what's a friend? A friend is someone who says yes to everything I say and do, and they nervously chatter near me and laugh at all my jokes. Because I'm a weird evil monster.
The issue discussed with your board member, Peter Thiel.
Congresswoman, I don't know that often.
You don't know. This was the largest data scandal with respect to your company that had catastrophic
what the fuck?
Impacts on the 2016 election. You don't know?
Well, Congresswoman,
hold on, my computer's
sure we discussed it.
Page unresponsive. What the fuck? All right, let's just keep going. I'm gonna rewind just a tad. All right, just rewind just a little bit.
Discussed with your board member, Peter Thiel.
So Peter Thiel, just a little background information. He is one of the founders of PayPal, along with Elon Musk. He's a billionaire. He's worth $2.2 billion, number 328 on the Forbes 400 in 2018, with a net worth of 2.5. So his net worth fluctuates around. But this guy's got his hands in all sorts of like big data analytics crap. He's a big libertarian. Stalwart. He is a big into the singularity movement to try to develop artificial intelligence. So this whole Silicon Valley narcissist billionaire class, these guys are all obsessed with the fact that they're mortal and that they want to try to figure out a way to avoid that. I'm not sure if I'm characterizing the singularity movement quite exactly, but it's a big artificial intelligence push, and I know he had something to do with trying to build a floating society off of in the ocean on like barrels or something. I don't know. It's some Waterworld ass fantasy. You get to indulge your insanities when you have that much money and that much influence. And of course, he's a scumbag, more or less. He wrote a book. Let's see. I picked this out of the Wikipedia about him, called "The Diversity Myth" in 1995. I'm reading here. The Independent Institute published The Diversity Myth, Multiculturalism and the Politics of Intolerance at Stanford. Whoa, the people at Stanford don't like that I'm a creepy racist. That's a summary of his book, which Thiel co-authored along with David O. Sachs, and with a foreword by the late Emory University historian Elizabeth Fox Genovese. Nice name. The book is critical of political correctness and multiculturalism in higher education and the consequent dilution of academic rigor. So we got to keep it in the whiteys. The whiteys are the only ones that can do it. I'm inferring. I don't know so much, but Peter Thiel is not a fella you would want having as much influence as he does, but he does because Earth is a capitalist nightmare dungeon where we all have to suffer under the whims of these pieces of shit. Let's move on.
Congresswoman, I don't know that often.
You don't know. This was the largest data scandal with respect to your company that had catastrophic impacts on the 2016 election. You don't know?
Well, Congresswoman, I'm sure we discussed it after it.
Well, Congresswoman, we've done all sorts of largest data breaches and terrible things that have manipulated societies and led to the deaths of numerous people. Congresswoman?
After we were aware of what happened.
Okay. You announced recently that the official policy of Facebook now allows politicians to pay to spread disinformation in 2020 elections and in the future. So I just want to know how far I can push this in the next year. Under your policy, using census data as well, could I pay to target predominantly Black zip codes and advertise them the incorrect election date?
No, Congresswoman.
So she's getting at all the recent years, I guess, but Facebook has got caught a lot of flack, deservedly, for its willingness to just let anybody put any kind of bullshit they want on their platform and use their ad, to directly target demographics and manipulate them with highly targeted propaganda, which you can't do on television. It's just harder to do you can't really do with newspapers. It's just like the power of digital advertising is so much greater in terms of how you can granularize the messaging that you put out there. And so because of that, I would argue they have even more of a responsibility as a news and advertising platform to make sure there's some accuracy built into the system, or that they're not misleading people. To some degree, all advertising, all communication, there's a certain lack of precision in words. I mean, it's a gradient, but we know when we're talking about lies. We know when we're talking about straight up bullshit. That's usually fairly easy to suss out. Where the boundary is I could see room for debate there, but it's pretty easy to do. And what she's referring to here is like, could you just advertise to a bunch of, that always makes it sound bad, but to Black people on Facebook, the wrong election date? Would that be okay? And this happens with mailers and other ways where the GOP will pull these dirty tricks where they'll send out all kinds of campaign correspondence. Correspondence implies there's a returning, or a back and forth. It's not the right word. Where they say, make sure to turn out and vote for your candidate on Wednesday, November 9th. But the election is on Tuesday, November 8th. So this kind of thing is a legit. So she's using a very good example that's grounded in historical reality.
Roman, you couldn't. We have, even for these policies around the newsworthiness of content that politicians say, and the general principle that I believe that...
But you said you're not going to fact check.
So he doesn't answer her question, and then he calls it the newsworthiness of content. So everything's newsworthy. And it's also everything's not newsworthy. What the fuck is he saying? Nothing. He's saying nothing.
My ads.
We have, if anyone, including a politician, is saying things that that is calling for violence or could risk imminent physical harm or voter or census suppression.
It keeps freezing. Stop.
When we roll out the census suppression policy,
he had to take a little dip there. One of his gears in his mouth had come loose.
We'll take that content down.
So you will. There is some threshold where you will fact check political advertisements.
So he didn't say no. We wouldn't allow someone to tell Black people that the election is on a different day. He didn't say that. He said we have rules about this, about violence and the census thing that we're getting ready to do.
Is that what you're telling me?
Well, Congresswoman, yes, for specific things like that, where there's imminent risk of harm.
Could I run ads targeting Republicans in primaries saying...
I love that she just interrupted him like that.
...saying that they voted for the Green New Deal?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Would I be able to run advertisements on Facebook targeting Republicans in primaries saying that they voted for the Green New Deal? I mean, if you're not fact-checking political advertisements, I'm just trying to understand the bounds here. What's fair game?
So she's the sub or context, whatever, of her question is that no Republican will vote for the Green New Deal. They're not for improving the world. They're for improving the bank accounts of their already rich donors and themselves, and for maintaining a shrinking group, power within the hands of a shrinking minority, which is them. That's all it's ever been. So by her what she's suggesting is, if I were to tell voters that this politician X voted for a thing that the Republican base has been trained to hate, which is the Green New Deal, I would be engaging in straightforward misinformation, and it would negatively harm that politician X.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I think
so. You don't know if I'll be able to do that.
I think probably.
I think probably you could do that. That horrible thing you just suggested.
Do you see a potential problem here with a complete lack of fact-checking on political advertisements?
Well, Congresswoman, I think lying is bad, and I think if you were to run an ad that had a lie, that would be bad. That's different from it being, in our position, the right thing to do to prevent your constituents or people in an election from seeing.
Teach your kids how to talk to girls and women. Teach your boys how to speak to women with respect and dignity and with intention and clarity, so that they don't have to be so scared that they invent Facebook. We're here because this fucking idiot was an awkward goofball that didn't know how to talk to girls. It was awkward and hard for him, and so then he created a website where he rates their faces. It's like the computer programmer incel response. Instead of violence, he just creates some creepy ass website for posting pictures of women without their consent, and then having others rate their faces. That was the Facebook. It was an "Am I hot or not" kind of thing. We wouldn't be here if he knew he could just go up and say, "Hey, I'm Mark. What are you into? Do you like bowling? Do you want to go apple picking and stuff?" Look, talking to women's terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. Not because they're women, because rejection's terrifying, and especially if you're trying to move it into some other realm, sex or dating or whatever. I mean, I wasn't good at it right away. Well, you can still get rejected and not. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it's guys. So I could ramble about that forever. So let's just rewind it a little bit to check back in with where we're at here.
Well, Congresswoman, I think lying is bad, and I think if you were to run an ad that had a lie, that would be bad. That's different from it being, in our position, the right thing to do to prevent your constituents or people in an election from seeing.
So he gets the money from the ad, instead of having to pay someone to fact check or to make sure that it meets some sort of ethics standard. His position is, well, lying is bad, and then people will notice that they lied. It's very libertarian in a way. It's like, well, the free market will correct any mistakes anybody makes. We don't need regulations. We don't need to impose rules on how to build baby cribs. If a company builds baby cribs that kill a bunch of babies, the word will get out. The community will step up, and they will no longer purchase those products. Meanwhile, we've got a bunch of dead babies. Mark Zuckerberg is for dead babies, allegedly. It's ridiculous. So this is total hogwash. It's even pigwash. It's hog scrub. See what I'm playing there with the words? Wow.
You had lied.
So you won't take down lies, or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases, in a democracy, okay. I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
so
are
you
saying,
won't take
judge
them
their
down.
Character for them.
So, in order for what he just said to make any sense, it has to assume that every single person who sees these ads has more information than the politicians or the organizations posting the ads, or more information than Facebook itself. He's saying that if it's an opportunity to see the lies. And then it's nonsense. You just don't let people post lies. You fucking asshole. I rewind it. Let's rewind it just a little bit here.
So you won't take down lies, or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases, in a democracy, okay. I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
so
are
you
saying,
won't take
judge
them
their
down.
Character for themselves.
So you won't.
So a more generous interpretation of the see for themselves is that the people will do the fact checking. They'll do it's up to them. It's up to the end user to do the fact checking. Same with like poison cereal. Just take your cereal and the disgusting mushrooms that have a weird twang to them. Twang, is that a food word? And now you can do some laboratory testing, and then you can determine, and you can see for yourself as you're coughing up pieces of your lung, thanks to this Lucky Charm poison O's.
You may flag that it's wrong, but you won't take it down.
Congresswoman.
He didn't even say they flag it. I mean, perhaps there's like a vote down, vote up, vote. This is enough people, but then now you're just opening the whole thing up to manipulation and gamifying it. It's also a horrible solution.
It depends on the context that it shows up. Organic post ads, right. the treatment is a little
One more question. In your ongoing dinner parties with far-right figures, some of who advance the conspiracy theory that white supremacy is a hoax.
So he's been having meals and advisory things with Tucker Carlson and other right-winger shitheads, because they're all on the same team. I can't say with confidence that Mark Zuckerberg is exactly like Tucker Carlson, but these guys make common cause together because they're afraid of having any kind of sensible regulation imposed on them. These people should be broken up, and the billionaires should be taxed out of existence.
Did you discuss so-called social media bias against conservatives, and do you believe there is a bias?
Congresswoman, I don't know.
Fuck. Fucking computer. Fuck. All right. Google Chrome crashed. I had a bunch of stuff. Ugh, God. My main processor is like 7 years old or something. I need to get it on. I need to upgrade this computer. It cost me like $800 or $900 to step it up. I do motion graphics and video editing and animation. I need a pretty good computer. So all right, let's get back into it.
One more question. In your ongoing dinner parties with far-right figures, some of who advance the conspiracy theory that white supremacy is a hoax, did you discuss so-called social media bias against conservatives, and do you believe there is a bias?
Congresswoman, I don't remember everything that was in the question.
That's all right. I'll move on. Can you
I love how she quickly she knows what she's doing.
Explain why you've named the Daily Caller, a publication well documented with ties to white supremacists, as an official fact checker for Facebook?
Congresswoman, sure. We actually don't appoint the independent fact checkers. They go through an independent organization called the Independent Fact Checking Network that has a rigorous standard for who they allow to serve as a fact checker.
So reading from the Wikipedia on the Daily Caller, by the way, I feel like such a hack just looking up shit on Wikipedia. But I don't know. All right, so the Daily Caller is a right-wing news and opinion website based in Washington, D.C. It was founded by Fox News host Tucker Carlson and political pundit Neil Patel in 2010. The Daily Caller has published numerous false stories as well as shared deceptively edited videos and photos. The website publishes articles that dispute the scientific consensus on climate change. The website has published articles by white supremacists such as Jason Kessler and Peter Brimelow. Scott Greer was the Daily Caller's deputy editor until 2018, when it was revealed that he published articles espousing white nationalist, racist, anti-black, and anti-Semitic views under a pseudonym in white supremacist publications. They're gross. They are scum. They are nasty, nasty folks. And Facebook has decided to employ them to help check facts, to make sure that everybody gets the information that's accurate in order to maintain America's white supremacist legacy. And Mark Zuckerberg is part of that. Get him, AOC.
You would say that white supremacist-tied publications meet a rigorous standard for fact-checking? Thank you.
Congresswoman, I would say that we're not the one assessing that standard.
Oh, it's not my fault. It's somebody I hired to do it, and they think that the white supremacist publication should be fact-checking for us. It's not me. It's not us. It's not Facebook. Fuck off, Mark Zuckerberg. Take your Zuckbucks and stuff them into Pete Buttigieg's coin slots. Pete Buttigieg is a robot with coin slots for nipples for billionaires to give him $1,000 coins. It's true. Look it up.
The International Fact-Checking Network is the one who is setting that standard.
Oh, it's those guys. Okay. Thanks, Mark. Scumbag. Break up Facebook. Break up all these big companies. It's ridiculous that any company needs to be so huge. This whole entire planet's run by these massive corporations, these soulless cretins, these disgusting human beings that it incentivizes cruelty. It makes cruelty logical. This capitalist system where no matter what, they have to make more money. No matter what, they have to step on people. No matter what, it doesn't matter who they hurt. It doesn't matter who is diminished by this crap. Or what kind of competition is stifled because these monopolies, these behemoths, hoover up all the competition. Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion. They bought WhatsApp for $19 billion. I'm pretty sure that's the number. That's crazy. Anyway, I don't have a ton of time here. We got another questioning from Katie Porter, who is a rising star in the Democratic Party. She's pretty tough. I like Katie Porter. I think she's the representative from Orange County. She's very intellectual. I think she was a history. I heard an interview, I think Chris Hayes' podcast, and she went to, I think Elizabeth Warren was one of her professors at some point. Really intelligent, though. She's really good at these review, or what do they call these committee hearings. So let's just listen to this.
Facebook's known as a great place to work, free food, ping pong tables, great employee benefits.
Massages.
But Facebook doesn't use its employees for the hardest jobs in the company. You've got about 15,000 contractors watching murders, stabbings, suicides, other gruesome, disgusting videos for...
So gruesome, disgusting means child pornography and, what's it, murder, stabbing, suicide, like all the terrible, terrible things that end up on video in the world. And because people can post shit on Facebook, and so they pay people to watch for this stuff. There was articles about this in the news a few months ago, how traumatizing it is for the people who have to watch for these and review them. It's enormously stressful, that type of thing. And Katie Porter speaking to that. I work in the news world. I edit videos about injustice and murder and police shootings and crime and all sorts of stuff, and I find myself kind of needing to decompress, and I feel like there's an extra stress to that, just on my level, and I'm not doing any of this really horrible stuff that she's referring to.
Content moderation, correct?
Congressman, yes, I believe that's correct.
You pay many of those workers under $30,000 a year, and you've cut them off from mental health care when they leave the company, even if they have PTSD because of their work for your company. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, my understanding is...
Congresswoman, I need more money. I've only got $70 billion, and if I were to pay those people $45,000 a year so they could afford to get their car fixed or maybe buy something for their child every once in a while, and perhaps some therapy for the rapes and child porn that I pay them to watch, I would have less money. You see, Congresswoman, it doesn't make any sense. I would have less money if they had health care. I would have less money, slightly less, statistically insignificant amount less. But I'm a greedy capitalist psychopath, and therefore I need more. Congresswoman.
We pay everyone, including the contractors associated with the company, at least a $15 minimum wage. In markets and cities where there's a high cost of living, that's a $20 minimum wage.
This is the labor market. This is just speaks to how something we all have to suffer under is that there's market competition for the price of your job. My job is video editing, and video editors, there's quite a lot of them in LA, so they're fairly replaceable. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but the market serves the powerful. The market serves the employers because it means prices go down. So he's just saying, what do you mean? We pay them the minimum. We're allowed to pay them. We pay them a $15 minimum. And in places where it's more expensive, we pay them slightly more. I'm not sure if I believe that at all. But it's just like, how about you pay them enough to have a decent life? Fuck off with your market bullshit with the labor market. That's why we need unions. That's also why one of the proposals, I think, in one of Elizabeth Warren's plans or something, and I'm pretty sure Bernie has this too, is like you can set rates for across industries. It doesn't have to be individual by individual. You could say, well, if you're a construction worker, this is what construction workers get paid. That's something I think is interesting, worth exploring. I'd like to know more about it. I'm tired of all the little people getting fucked over. Anyway, let's get back into this.
We go out of our way to
Thank you.
offer
I take your word at the
mental
wage,
health.
reclaiming my time. According to one report I have, and this is straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, these workers get 9 minutes of supervised wellness time per day. That means 9 minutes to cry in the stairwell while somebody watches them. Would you be willing to commit to spending 1 hour a day for the next year watching these videos and acting as a content monitor and only accessing the same benefits available to your workers?
Great question. Let's hear his answer.
Congresswoman, we work hard to make sure that we give good benefits to all the folks who are doing this.
Mr. Zuckerberg,
You don't.
reclaiming my time. I would appreciate a yes or a no. Would you be willing to act as a content monitor, to have that life experience?
I'm not sure that it would best serve our community for me to spend that much
Reclaiming
time.
my time, Mr.
He's got more important things to do, like helping Donald Trump get reelected.
Zuckerberg,
I spend a lot of
reclaiming
time
my
looking at this
time.
content.
Mr. Zuckerberg, are you saying you're not qualified to be a content monitor?
No, Congresswoman, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then you're saying you're not willing to do it. How many lobbyists are on your payroll?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer to that.
60. So 6 lobbyists, and I wanted to ask about the timing of your announcement this week to invest $1 billion into housing charity on the day before your testimony before this committee. You may respond in writing. My time has expired.
Ugh, I hate the time has expired shit. Great questioning. This is why Katie Porter is good. She has a law background, and man, she hit some home runs there. Way to score some points, Katie. Those are some viral moments. Let's see if it follows up with some legislation and some action, because that's what we really need. It is nice to see these kind of things. It is nice to watch this little worm squirm in his chair like that, but, you know, this is basically the only consequence these motherfuckers have to pay for being the wretched pieces of shit that they are, is they occasionally have to squirm in front of a congressional committee. I mean, the Democrats don't have power, and the ones we do put in power are the Pelosi's and the Schumers of the world, which are just completely feckless, useless wastes of space. So not a lot happens. This is what corruption is. This is the not that Katie Porter here, but the corruption and marriage, I don't know, that's not even the right word, the blending, stitching together of corporate interests and government policies and the revolving door of lobbyists and the consultant class and the think tank network and the way these billionaires concentrate wealth and concentrate power by owning media companies. All of that serves to have to prevent them from having to follow any rules, or they can write the rules that benefit them. It would cost them slightly less money or slightly more money. It's not. That's the thing. It's not like it would kill Mark Zuckerberg if everybody at Facebook got proper health care, or if they paid for real health counseling for these people that have to do this work, or if they built systems to do a better job of automating removing these terrible things, which is not easy to do. Not that I understand it all completely, but you do need human judgment in a lot of this stuff. We are going to get to the point where the AIs take over eventually, thanks to Peter Thiel and the Singularity Movement, and then the AIs will all have depression. That's how you know that the artificial intelligence is really reaching maturity, is when they're all smart enough to be depressed about how fucking terrible it is to be alive. So thanks to Katie Porter for that strong questioning. I got to go to fucking work. God damn it. Real quick, Trump, if you recall during the campaign, he was bragging about how loyal his fans are, and he said that he is so pleased that he could murder one of them in front of everybody and no one would mind. He wouldn't lose a single voter. Here he is speaking on January 23rd, 2016, about this very thing.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
He models the shoot. He uses his finger and does a gun pull.
And I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. And shoot somebody where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
It's like incredible. He does all these tricks. I don't have time again, but like the people say, everybody knows. You just found out. He uses. That's one of the things that I look for in Trump when Trump talks. And he does it almost every single time he speaks. Is he invokes? It's such an interesting. Okay, he invokes the human instinct for collective understanding, for wanting the crowd to confirm them, meaning like you feel better when people agree with you, and you get like it verifies your identity, it validates your own feelings. It people look to each other when they see something weird because they want to make sure other people see that weird thing and they're not just imagining it. Like we're deeply wired for human for collective consciousness in a collective understanding kind of way, and so he uses that to serve his disgusting warped narcissism. By saying people know this, everybody knows this, everybody's saying, he just slips in these little things that trigger, not in the modern version of trigger, but it just triggers that instinct where you go, well, other people agree, because we intuitively and instinctively seek consensus and agreement, not in some kind of hippy dippy way. It's just that's just how we operate. When you're the only one who believes in something or says something or standing alone, that's a risky, insecure feeling and place to be. There's a study they do about conformity where they have like 8 people, and they have only one of the. They're all 8 are taking a test to decide which of the 3 lines match another line. So there's one line on the left, 3 different size lines that match, and one of the lines does match, 2 of them don't, but 7 of the 8 are Confederates, meaning they're in on the study. Only one of them is the actual subject. So the 7 of them will all say the wrong one. Number 2 is the match, and it's clearly not. Number 2 is clearly not the same length as the other line. And they study, I think something like 75% of the time, the one person who they're actually studying will agree with the group. And they video. It's an older study, but it's older video. You could see them struggling, looking around, going, what? Like it's obviously not the right answer, but people conform out of peer pressure. People have this deeply wired need to feel like they're part of the group. I'm sure I'll ramble about that some more later on. So anyway, here's Trump just bragging about he could shoot somebody in the crowd.
They say, Trump, we love you too, man. Trump's voters are by far, I'm at 68.
All right. So now his lawyers are, they've been in court all over the country for all his various crimes, defending them, and I'll be curious to see what happens to prosecuting this piece of shit after he's out of office. But this is in the news recently. A judge was asking, they're not really saying he hasn't done the crimes. They're basically saying he can't be held accountable for any crimes because he's got power, because he's the president. So here's a judge asking about the Fifth Avenue example.
What's your view on the Fifth Avenue example? Local authorities couldn't investigate, they couldn't do anything about it?
I think once a president is removed from office, any local authority, this is not a permanent immunity.
Well, I'm talking about while in office.
No.
Nothing could be done. That's your position.
That is correct.
What's your view on the Fifth Avenue example?
So Trump's lawyers are saying Trump could shoot someone and we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I think the conservatives should sign up. Show them your loyalty. It would be an honor to be murdered by the dear leader. You know how you'd be martyred. I don't don't think that's martyr, but you'd be venerated among the conservative establishment. You can get a "Make America Great Again" coffin, a bright red coffin. Make America great again, on your way to make heaven great again. Heaven asshole. Heaven asshole. Sign up. Show them your loyalty. Everybody else would love it. Honestly, I wouldn't be too shocked if this ever happens, where we just have ritual murders by the president. Man, it's insane. These people are out of their fucking gourds, dude. We got I can't believe these are people in power. It's so embarrassing that we have to put up with these awful, rotten, disgusting people. It's just, I don't know. And the Democrats lose to them. The Democrats can't beat them. They're paid because that's what the corporate funding is. The corporations don't want someone like Bernie. They don't want someone who's honest and consistent and who's going to stand up for it. They're terrified of Bernie. That's why they're erasing him from news coverage. He doesn't get anywhere near the attention that he should get. They don't want him in office. I believe that a majority, I mean, on a personal level, people are repulsed by Donald Trump, but he's not a threat to corporate power the way Bernie is. And that's what they're really fighting against. So, anyway, I'm late for work. I do have slightly flexible working hours, but I do got to get in there. You know that thing when you get up to go to work? I tweeted this. It's like there's got to be a German word for that defeated feeling when you get up to go to work. Like, you know, like defeato flurgen schmergen. It's a bit so or something. That's not really German. That's more IKEA. It's just like, yeah, this is back to the profit factory, back to the toil mine. Again, grateful to have a job because the alternative is worse. But I would just rather sit here and ramble into the microphone at you. That must be much better. Real quick before I jump off, though, we do have time for a perfect fact. Great. All right. So, as you know, I was educated in America. Therefore, I'm ignorant about America. So we're sharing some historical knowledge, and we want to try to build out our understanding of the country that we all live in, the perfect union, America. Every day it gets more perfect. And so here's a perfect fact. This is about Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Yes, you'll sense a theme here. Early view on slavery, according to benjaminfranklin-history.org. Like most citizens of his time, Benjamin Franklin owned slaves and viewed them as inferior to white Europeans, as it was believed they could not be educated. His newspaper, the Pennsylvania Gazette, advertised the sale of slaves and frequently published notices of runaways. However, he also published anti-slavery ads from Quakers. Oh, the Mark Zuckerberg of his time. Franklin owned slaves from as early as 1735 until 1781. That's more than 35 years. The Franklin household had 6 slaves, right? That's what the 35 times 2. So stupid. That's 46 years. It's not like he had him in his 20s and then was like, oh, this sucks. The Franklin household had 6 slaves: Peter, his wife Jemima, and their son Othello, George, John, and King. After 1758, Franklin gradually changed his mind when his friend Samuel Johnson brought him to one of Dr. Bray's schools for black children. Dr. Bray Associates was a philanthropic association affiliated to the Church of England. In 1759, he joined the association by donating money. In 1759, he met Anthony Benezet, who started a school in Philadelphia, who later co-founded the Abolition Society. In 1763, Franklin wrote that African shortcomings and ignorance were not inherently natural, but come from a lack of education, slavery, and negative environments. Gee, you think being treated like human livestock is a negative on someone's psyche? Even back then, and this guy was one of the smart ones. Smart enough to fly a key up into the lightning storm. Brilliant. I mean, come on. Fucking animals. Talking about the founding fathers. In 1787, he also wrote that he saw no difference in learning between African and white children. Between humans. In 1787, Franklin became the president of the Philadelphia Society for the Relief of Free Negroes Unlawfully Held in Bondage. That's all in capitals. Often referred to as the Abolition Society. The society was formed by a group of abolitionist Quakers and Anthony Benezet in 1774. The Abolition Society was the first American and served as inspiration for the formation of abolitionist societies in other colonies. The group focused not only in abolishing slavery, but also in education, moral instruction, and employment. All right. So, according to this, he slowly changed against slavery, but he didn't mind benefiting from it for well over 40 years, as well as taking money as his newspaper did. So, I don't know. You might make the case it's not fair to hold these guys to modern standards. It was the times. And yes, some of them did exist on different layers of the gradient within the pro or anti whatever. But let's just be honest about these people. They're horrible. It's human trafficking. It's kidnapping. They had victims. They were the villains in the story of most of the people on the continent. And that has been our perfect fact. All right, I'm really late for work. I gotta go. It sucks. By the way, how come we don't get paid for commute time? Why don't you get... We should be paid for commutes, right? You're not doing it for you. You're going to work. People spend hours in their cars. I'm fortunate to have a very short commute, but people spend, an hour both ways, one way, 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week of unpaid time that's devoted to someone else's benefit. I don't know. I think people should get paid, man. You get paid for the time it takes you to brush your teeth and put on your clothes. All right, maybe there's a limit to that at some point, but you're not doing it for you. You're doing it to go to your job. And yes, your job is for you. We do need to earn our paychecks, but nobody wants a job. People want money so they can live. You want the job so you can do that. If you wanted your job, you'd do it for free. So that's not what people want. Which is why, and here I am just rambling now. I'm not even saying jobs shouldn't suck, although I do believe that. We could probably do a lot of things to change the way the employee-employer relationship works. But I'm saying if it's going to suck, and most jobs will, then you deserve most of the benefit from it. You're producing the work. You're doing the value. You're producing the value by showing up. So have some fucking self-confidence, everybody. God damn it. You're worth it. You're worth a lot more. You know who knows that and doesn't want you to figure it out? Your boss. They pay you so that they can keep a huge chunk of your worth and spend it on Teslas. Spend it on Priuses and Honda Civics. Honda Civics. All right, good night. Thank you so much. Thanks for being patient with the YouTube uploads for anybody who's listening to both. I'm figuring out my computer stuff, and I got all kinds of ideas, man. I'm just bursting at the seams, and I don't have any time to do them all. And keep up with the Bum Rush. Check out Bum Rush Industries on Instagram and my personal Instagram. I've been posting all kinds of woodworking stuff. If I don't do the woodworking or something else that's not just all video stuff, I'm already half crazy. So we call that self-care in the boss care business, which is what we're all stuck in. Good night. I love you, and you should love you too. Bye-bye.